Imagine being able to build an
30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, good morning. A very good morning to all of you. I want to start it out with this. Nobody is bigger than the program. That is one thing you need to understand when it comes to business organizations, when it comes to gangs, when it comes to popularity, power, or talent. Nobody is bigger than the program. Okay, let me tell you what that means. No individual, regardless of their popularity, power, or talent, is more important than the overall organization, team, or if you want to get religious, even divine plan, right? This is something a lot of us Muslims absolutely believe in, at least in terms of religion. It may not always apply in the world of sports. It may not always apply in, other sectors of life, but a lot of sectors in life do apply it, okay? It signifies that the collective mission and established rule takes precedence over personal ego, authority, emphasizing that the entity continues to exist and function beyond any single person, okay? Here's some key implications I need you guys to understand, okay? Number one, team above self, okay? Individual success is secondary to the success of the group. Accountability. Everyone must follow an established rules, and no one is exempt from consequences. The inevitability of change. The organization will survive and thrive even if key individuals leave or fall short, okay? Humility. A reminder for high achievers to remain humble and recognize that they are part of a larger structure, okay? Now, with all that in mind, does all of this, in all honesty, reflect Jon Jones in any kind of way? I think it does. I think it does, okay? From what I've read, this is what I've read in terms of his, in terms of what's going on online right now, all right? Let me read to you what my man wrote here. Okay, released statement. Let's see if, okay, this one's a little bit blurry. Let's hear what he had to say here. Okay, so, wait, no, that was a while ago. Hold on now. That was 26 weeks ago. But we're talking about just 3 hours ago, okay? So he says, I'm released from the UFC. This is what Jon Jones asked. He says, I'm released from the UFC, so all this negotiating was complete BS. Is that what you want me to agree to publicly? Okay, there's something going on there. Okay, he says, make this make sense. And I quote, I am released from the UFC. That is all that we have for Jon Jones. Ishla says, YDYM, Why did I don't know what YDYM means. You're gonna have to explain to me what that means. Jon Jones released from the UFC. He was already gone when he was retired. Well, apparently not. There was some contract negotiations going on behind the scenes in regards to the White House, at least according to Jon Jones. Whereas what Dana White said last night in the press conference, he literally said, "You know what, man? We never had any intentions of negotiating with Jon Jones. He already had a bad hip." He explained to a group of random bloggers that he was talking to, guys that were like literally recording him from their phone, as he thought they were just having a private conversation. Come to find out that that video gets released of him saying, "I got a bad hip. I was just approved for some hip surgery, right? I can't be in there fighting." So he was in no shape to go fight anybody. At least this is according to Dana White, okay? And also himself as well, self-admitted. Ivan the Great says, Jones, kind of insane that got rewarded for that horrible eye poke. I wouldn't say rewarded. And I got something to say about the White House card too, right? It was the best that they can do for what they have going on, okay? And Ashraf, shout out to Ashraf. First time I seen you here, my man. Let me know what part of the world you are from. I'm assuming you are of Arabic, origins, or maybe Muslim. Obviously, Ashraf is a Muslim name. Salam alaikum to you, brother. He says the UFC White House card is not bad. Not bad for what it is, okay? Ivan the Great says, Jon Jones is great, but he doesn't deserve to be on the White House. Yeah, so he doesn't deserve to be in the White House card. I agree. He doesn't, yeah, it's not something that he All right. Sorry about that. Let me see where we on that one real quick. Sorry, I had a little bit of some technical issue. Sorry about that. Let me see where this hold on. Let's see where this was left off at. Okay, hold on a second here. All right, here we go. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see right here. Where was this left off at? Okay, it was like, wow, a little 4-minute hiatus there. Also himself as well, self-admitted. Right, I can't be in there fighting, so he was in no shape to go fight anybody. At least this is according to Dana White, okay? And also himself as well, self-admitted. Ivan the Great says, Jones, kind of insane that God got rewarded for that horrible eye poke. I wouldn't say rewarded. And I got something to say about the White House card too, right? It was the best that they can do for what they have going on. Okay, so the White House card was the best that they can do for what they have going on, okay? Okay, and Ashraf, shout out to Ashraf. First time I seen you here, my man. Let me know what part of the world you are from. I'm assuming you are of Arabic, origins, or maybe Muslim. Obviously, Ashraf is a Muslim name. Salam alaikum to you, brother. He says the UFC White House card is not bad. Not bad for what it is, okay? Ivan the Great says, Jon Jones is great, but he doesn't deserve to be on the White House. Okay. Yeah, so he doesn't deserve to be in the White House card. I agree. He doesn't, yeah, it's not something that he... Okay, so that's where we left off, right? Okay, so he doesn't deserve to be in the White House card, right? UFC card is not bad, but like I said, it's the best that they can do right now, right? Yeah, so he says, honestly, one of the best cards we had in a while, but why is Bo Nickel on the main card? The reason why he's in the main card is because obviously he is, a big supporter of Trump. Trump also is a big supporter of him. And, as a result of that, that is the reason why they had decided, hey, you know what, we're going to have you on the card. You're one of Trump's favorite fighters, so why not have you on board, right? That's sort of where they are at with that right now, right? So, okay, hear what Dana White had to say last night. Okay, let me play what Dana White had to say last night right here.
The fight says, if they want, I'll spank Charlie, obviously about Charles Oliveira. Is there any up?
Can't wait. I want to ask a little bit about the numbers now being on Paramount.
Then he was supposed to fight in this card also. So he was supposed to fight Chandler, right?
Yeah.
So 3 French-speaking people were supposed to...
This guy's going to do all...
How can you keep your music original in 2026? Start with how you create it. Meet co-producer.
Or are they refunding his sanctioning fee? Are they really? Are they going to give him to fight for the IBF?
Where is this Jon Jones stuff at?
Can you elaborate on any of those reasons?
No. Dana, with those antics with Armin, is that...
This thing would be, you should do it. You should do it. I'll fight in the undercard. I said, you'll fight in the undercard. Let's do UFC shit tonight.
Dana back here.
Yep.
Earlier you had said that you were planning some big stuff in Washington, D.C. for the fans, kind of like just, not just the White House event, but things they can look forward to throughout the week that were UFC related. We've also heard about International Fight Week, still coming in July. Can you just talk about what fans could look forward to leading up to the fight in D.C.?
Yeah, obviously you can't get tickets to get into the White House fight, but the Ellipse across the street, we'll be able to hold 85,000 people over there. We're gonna have screens and fan activation over there. Ram is like giving away trucks over in the Ellipse. There's going to be all kinds of cool stuff. So even if you obviously can't get tickets, you should be in D.C. the week of the fight. Press conference is going to be at the Lincoln Memorial. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait. I want to ask a little bit about the numbers now being on Paramount. One of the things I think a lot of people talked about is it's not just cheaper for fans who are already watching UFC, but now the new audience that cut cable and they're looking for stuff and now they're being introduced to it. Have you been?
Yeah, I'm trying to find where he mentioned about Jon Jones. If you guys know where he had mentioned that, let me know. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to like play the whole thing, and you know, yeah. So I'm just basically trying to find like where he had mentioned Jon Jones. Ivan the Great says the main and co-main event is honestly super fights, but the undercard is a little weak. There's a lot of fights they could have put on there and aren't completely unrealistic. Okay, so there's a lot that goes into this card, right? And by the way, I don't want to get off the topic of Jon Jones because obviously he's the main topic of this. I sort of elaborated last night on the live stream regarding the UFC White House card, right? It's the best card that they can find right now due to the fact that there are many fighters with, you know, contract negotiation issues. Not only do they have contract negotiating issues, there's also a lot of guys with injuries. Obviously, Tom Aspinall is one aspect of it. You also got to understand the way that they sort of, you know, marketed this whole entire card, right? It was marketed as this card that is somehow, you know, extremely epic, right? Epic to the core. And when you create those types of things, right, you're sort of creating a certain set of expectations that sometimes can be totally unrealistic. And, you know, that right there is what sort of creates problems in that regard. So,
been an estimation of how many new fans of the UFC are being on Paramount?
No, not yet. But like I just said, I literally just said this to him that, you know, the number's been massive for Paramount. We exceeded the expectations, and now that you know, we're not behind two paywalls, it's a big deal. And again, tonight, like we said earlier, being on CBS is incredible too.
Thank you.
Dana, just one for me. We'll talk about the lightweight division right here, Dana. Sorry. Obviously, Charles just won the BMF title. Justin and Ilya are fighting at the White House. There's that one guy in the division, Arman Sarukian. He had an interesting weekend in Tempe last weekend. What did you make of that when you saw those antics, and where does he stand in the division?
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it. But, you know, that night, that was somebody else's problem, not mine. But, you know, yeah, that's really all you gotta say about that. But the division's heating up and lots of fun fights to make. And we'll get Armin figured out. Thank you.
oh yeah, so he did mention yesterday or during this night of the press conference about how Arman Sarukian, you know, he said that it wasn't his problem when he got into it, you know, at the, what do you call it, at the RAF situation. He says, yeah, look, this is not my problem whatsoever, right? You know, it was their problem that night and they get to deal with it, and that's that. So, okay. What else? What else did he say about Jon Jones here? Man, okay, we're trying to find where he mentioned Jon Jones here.
For no sense of French media. First of all, congratulations for the White House. And the question is, BSD Benoit Saint-Denis was supposed to fight in this card also. So he was supposed to fight Chandler, right?
Yeah.
So 3 French-speaking people were supposed to fight in the White House. Was it like on purpose for the White House to have like 3 French-speaking people?
Well, it was on purpose, but not because they speak French. We're always looking to put on the best fights we can with the best fighters, and you know, obviously this card is going to get a ton of exposure. The guys who are on there, every one of these fights actually means something.
You can tell this guy is not an MMA media guy, right? I mean, why would he ask, okay, did you purposely put French-speaking people? I mean, any real MMA fan would know that's not the case. 600-pound gamer says, Roofy versus Chandler is a joke. Ivan the Great says, Ilya's resume is aging like fine wine. Everyone thought Charles was done after he got slimed out by Topuria. Facts, man. Look, the thing with Oliveira, he's high level. He is not only high level, he's also very much still in the contender level, not championship level, right? There's fighters that are championship level, and then there's fighters that are, let's say, contender level. I think he is in the contender level above all else, right? And he proved it. Max Holloway is championship level at 145, but contender level in 155, and that's just what we saw last night.
They just happen to speak French.
And about Benoit Saint-Denis, do you have like other plans for him, like something booked or not yet?
Who's that?
Benoit Saint-Denis?
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to fight on the White House.
Yeah, I think he's hurt.
And just like one last question for me about Nassourdine Imavov. He's also like number 2 of the middleweight division. So, do you have some news about him? Like,
Who did he say? No, not right now. Not right now. I don't.
Think so.
Thank you.
Bye, Dana.
I mean, honestly, I think they're going to skip over Imavov and put Sean Strickland in there. Let's be honest, right? Who would you rather see? I mean, look, do I want to see a fellow Muslim brother get an opportunity? Of course. But at the expense of another Muslim brother? Probably, you know, not something that many other Muslims would like to see. But I'll tell you who a lot of Muslims would like to see fight comes on. It's Sean Strickland. Let's be honest about that, right? 600-pounder says Rufy versus Chandler's a joke. Yes. Ivan the Great says, speaking of Topuria, Justin Gaethje is going to get stiff as a board in front of Trump. Facts. Facts. But once again, this is the best that they can do. I told you guys last night, I said in the last live stream, the reason why they're doing this is because they need Ilia Topuria as some sort of diplomatic bridge between him and the Spanish government. Because, by the way, Spain is not allowing the U.S. to use their airstrips to, you know, deploy to Iran. So there's that. Okay, and then 600-pound gamer says, are the prelims at the White House? Are there 6 fights only? So it's a 6-fight card. So, I mean, that is the whole main card, the undercard, and everything else. You know what I mean? That's it. It's like a boxing card with 6 fights. That's how they're going to format that. So let's continue on until I find that Jon Jones conversation he's talking about.
I know you spoke about Armand just now, but he was in talks with Hunter Campbell about potential fights with Gaethje, Volk, and the winner of this fight, which ended up being Oliveira. I want to know what you think makes the most sense for him.
What's the question again?
For Armin, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Armin said he spoke to Hunter.
Yeah, got it. I don't know. I'm not thrilled with Armin right now. I'm you know, and there's a lot of different reasons. It's not just the stuff that you see publicly. But yeah.
Care to elaborate on any of those reasons?
No.
Dana, with those answers.
All right, and the reason why Dana White is not going to tell you exactly what it is that he knows about Armin Tsarukyan is because, once again, he's playing a promoter. And what does a good promoter do? They keep their mouth shut when it comes to, you know, the bad businesses that are going on behind the scenes and also what could potentially make their fighters look bad. Because by the end of the day, yes, the UFC for the most part does not care about their fighters, right? But at the same time, they also don't want to mess up their program, which, by the way, is the theme of this whole entire live stream. Nobody is bigger than the program.
It's with Armin. Is that going to make you hesitant to let these guys compete in the RAF? Because it seems like that promotion's taking off.
No. Listen, there's plenty of guys that wrestle that have, been respectful with other guys that they wrestled, and I understand there was some back and forth with both of those guys, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and Armin's been smoking a lot lately, so.
This digital calendar, lightening my mental load, makes it worth every penny. I wasn't fully convinced the Skylight calendar would be able to do it.
Yeah.
Hey Dana, over here. I know you said there's nothing planned, but I just was wondering what you thought about, because Conor McGregor said he recently wants to fight the winner of tonight, and Oliveira won. What would you think about McGregor versus Oliveira fight?
That guy just asked me that 2 seconds ago.
I thought,
that was going to happen. Yeah. We have no date for Conor right now. Not even close. So.
And another thing about you said recently, you said you want to box.
Hold up. He said not even close. Okay? I want you to keep that in mind, okay? Dana White literally just said right now, not even close. What does he mean by that? That means Conor is never fighting again. Conor said at the Chael Sonnen podcast, there's a summer date. Well, from what it seems like with Dana White, there's no summer date. So what's going on? I think what's going on is that Conor McGregor is too much of a liability and also is not training properly. That's also another aspect you need to understand about Conor McGregor. And then on top of that, I just think that he is way done for it. He's absolutely way done for it, and the UFC knows it. But at the same time, they don't want to say anything because of the fact that they don't want to ruin their reputation. So try and understand that. All right.
Eddie Hearn, was that serious or was that a joke?
No, it was serious and a joke. I'm fucking 56 years old. I shouldn't be fucking boxing anything. The last time I even tried to get ready to box was for Tito. I was 38, and that was a fucking nightmare, okay? And Eddie Hearn's a pussy. He don't want to fucking box anybody. Come on. Fucking Eddie Hearn boxing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He said he would. He said he would. He said he'd spark you out.
Listen, if that's what, then fucking fly out here. We'll go over to the Apex and we can box. And last night, Callum Walsh was telling me, he's like, we were power slap.
So in other words, what he's trying to say is, you know what, I'm down to do it, but, you know, I want to do it in a private matter, not with the world scene. So in other words, he just wants to spar. He says Conor is never fighting again. Alex 6-5-0. He says, you need 3 more fights before you get a title shot, kid. Yeah, that is what they're saying, right? About that. He says, yeah, we will never see Conor fighting again in the octagon. Facts, man. And there's a lot of underlining things going on that a lot of people don't know about, but rest assured, you're going to find out soon enough, maybe after the summer, I would predict.
And he's like, this thing would be, you should do it. You should do it. I'll fight on the undercard. I said, you'll fight in the undercard. If 2 fucking bums like us were going to do that, we'd be the first prelim of the night. It would be disrespectful to every guy who's a real fighter on that card to be under us. We'd be the first prelim of the night. And that would be fucking embarrassing.
Speaking of prelims, earlier today there was a fight where the lights kind of went out inside the arena. I'm not sure if you caught that.
What was it? Tonight?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, the lighting grid? That's weird. Power went out last night at Power Slap, too.
I saw those be in the air.
Rough weekend for us.
Obviously, you said there that the matchmakers presented you with options that would be available for the White House and that you would pick the card. Was Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje like your pick all along to be the main event for the White House?
Well, we literally had, I don't know, 15, 20 fights to choose from, you know, from the top to the bottom of the card, which is 6. We were at 7, actually. I added 1 more, and then when the other one fell out, we went back to 6, but there were lots of things in play. There were lots of different.
Alex 650 says, do you think the White House card is underwhelming? Very underwhelming. But the reason why is because you have to understand, right? Trump wanted to do something special. And for a magnitude of something like this, believe it or not, you need more than a year to sort of get these things sorted out, especially if you're dealing with the White House, you're dealing with security measures. On top of that, you have to vet every single guy that not only is it the fighter, but also the fighter's corner. You got to vet these people as well. Ivan the Great says, Conor honestly did right, except for all things he's done outside the octagon, became a superstar, made the bag, and left. You know what, man? Conor McGregor has said this in his past interviews during the 2014s. He says, I'm here, you know, to get the cheese, get in and get out. That is literally the exact words that Conor McGregor said, right? And you know what? What else does he need to accomplish? I mean, look, the White House card is great, but he's not going to be on it. You know, another international, you know, fight week situation is great, but he's not going to be on it. And, you know, and that's that. So, yeah, let's continue listening to this press conference and see where the Jon Jones thing was, where he was talking about. By the way, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get this thing cracking.
Fights I'm playing for the White House. And then this is the card that I ended up picking.
Dana, over here.
We obviously saw
RDR loses fight. It's his second loss in the UFC now. What do you think would be a good plan for him, moving up to 205 or checking out 185?
I don't know. He didn't look like he really wanted to be in there tonight. That didn't look like the same guy to me tonight. I don't know. Has he been through here yet? No? I mean, you guys might want to ask him. I don't know if he had a bad camp or he's whatever. I don't know. Just in my personal opinion, I literally text the Max Major and says, to me, does he look like he does not want to be here tonight?
Thank you, Dana.
Yep.
Dana, right here. Just to double back on something Gabriel was talking about. At one time, you said the White House card was going to be International Fight Week. Is it not going to be International Fight Week now?
No.
Okay.
And that right there is an indication why Conor McGregor is not going to fight. Dana White just said earlier, not even close. Not even close. So what does he mean by that when he says not even close? Well, that's exactly what he means, not even close. That means he's not going to fight in the summer. We would be lucky if he even fights in August. I highly doubt it. Of course, there's an August card. There's always an August card every year. Maybe a September card. Who knows? Maybe Madison Square Garden in November. None of the above. None of the above is the answer to all of that.
I know Kayla Harrison was someone that a lot of people thought might be on that card. We haven't really heard.
Talked about her too, but she had surgery. I mean, when we were talking about that fight, it was something crazy. Like in 24 hours, she found out that she needed to go in and get emergency neck surgery. 24, 48 hours, whatever it was.
But do you know how she's doing now? Is she going to be out for a while still?
What?
How is she doing now?
I think she's doing good. Yeah, she's recovering.
And
she had neck surgery. Like not long ago. The last thing you want to do when you have neck surgery is get punched in the fucking face by Amanda Nunes, you know what I mean? Or her pulling on your head or neck. So we'll give her as much time as she needs to heal.
Yeah, and then you've been asked about Alex Pereira going to heavyweight for years at this point. You've kind of had mixed feelings on it. Why did you guys ultimately feel like this was the right time for that?
You know, Alex Pereira is this guy that he wants to fight everybody, you know, every single week.
Because Alex Pereira is a big game hunter. That's really the best way to describe the man. He is a big game hunter, right? And he is one of those guys that will take all comers and be willing to take that. And that's exactly what he did here. Ivan the Great says, yeah, I think people forgot making a White House card is a lot more complicated than it is. There's a Secret Service and security involved. Correct.
He's one of the most unique guys we've ever dealt with. And, you know, we all agree that if this is what he wants to do, he deserves it.
And a big piece of this fight will be his pursuit of a belt in the third division, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
We thought maybe if it would be like, 145, 155, 170 or something. How incredible is it that he's going for it at 85, 205
so
heavyweight?
It's absolutely incredible. And, you know, we'll see how it plays. You know, Cyril Gane is a very interesting fight for him because Cyril Gane doesn't move like a lot of heavyweights move. So should be a very fun fight.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep. Good? All right. Good night, you guys. Thank you.
All right. We got to find this Jon Jones conversation that he was talking about. Maybe we can start from the very beginning here.
Tonight was $8.3 million. Attendance.
Okay, so $8.3 million is what they made. Okay, not bad.
19,480. It was sold out. 4 performance of the night. Bonuses, Bellato, Montez, Rodriguez, and Dober.
Dana, dominant work from Charles Oliveira, but maybe not.
Ivan the Great says, Alex Pereira on the verge of becoming the GOAT if he gets 3 belts, which is kind of insane considering he hasn't been in the game for long. Okay, so about that, right? There's going to be an asterisk on that. Because remember, he still is going to win an interim belt, not a full undisputed belt. There's asterisks to that. The other asterisk is that he fought Izzy. The last fight that him and Izzy had the best of those exchanges. So there's an asterisk to that. There's a lot of asterisks going on with Alex's name. He's lost before. He's lost to guys that are currently active or guys that are probably down the hill in comparison to, let's say, Israel Adesanya. And that's really that's really the reality of that situation. The reality of that situation is that, yes, he is, he's a big game hunter. But it doesn't mean that you can kind of add him into, GOAT status. I would not put him in GOAT status in that particular effect, right? And the reason why is because what does it mean to be a GOAT? Is George St. Pierre a GOAT? Yes. Is Khabib a GOAT? Yes. Is Conor McGregor a GOAT? Somewhat. Alex 650 says, I mean, I get it, but for example, not making Sean O'Malley versus Sandman, they both said that it would be a fight that they are willing to fight each other on this card. Correct, but I think they were going to have Sean O'Malley fight Peter Yan, and Peter Yan fell out. And as a result of Peter Yan falling out, they had Ayman Zahabi, who, by the way, is the only Muslim fighter in this card. By the way, the most unlikely Muslim fighter to be in a card like this, right? They sort of would have expected somebody like Khamzat or Islam, and that's not the case here. Maybe even Omar Nurmagomedov, but you know, that's not even the case. Or maybe Usman if they go and sign him in there. But that wasn't the case.
Exactly the fight the crowd was anticipating or looking for. What were your thoughts on the way the main event played?
I don't know if anybody was expecting that. I mean, the way he body locked him and took him down so easily and absolutely dominated him on the ground. I thought there'd be a lot more stand up, and I thought that Max would do a better job at defending the takedown. And if he got on the ground, he'd at least pop up a couple, 3 times during the round, but total domination.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the goal of the sport is to win fights, right? But when it's a BMF title fight, do you feel like there's a unwritten rule that you got to fight a little bit differently, that you got to make it a stand-up war and not have a grappling-based approach?
Well, I think you'll have those type of guys, but the goal at the end of the day in every fight is to win. So he did exactly what he needed to do to win, and I think probably, you'll have to ask Max, but in training camp they're probably expecting, if you've seen Charles fight, he's not afraid to go toe-to-toe, stand up, and, they obviously really believed that if they took him down to the ground, tonight would happen.
Yeah, no doubt. 4 fights tonight. They're broadcast on CBS as well, including like one of the weirdest fights ever with Garbrandt and Jalong. But just curious kind of what you thought about being back on network.
He says that would be good. What would be good? I am it. Let me know what you meant by when you said it would be good. Ivan the Great says, but if somehow beats Tom, getting 3 belts is insane feat there, and will never be another Alex Pereira after he retires. I would argue that, okay, he beats Gunn, great. Go on and fight Tom Aspinall when he comes back and he's healthy, right? Because he is the undisputed champion of the world right now, right? There's also a linear heavyweight champion in the world in Francis Ngannou, but he's not here, right? So I think if he does beat Tom Aspinall, he could retire, or maybe wait for Francis Ngannou, and then he can complete his set. Then we can call him the GREAT. Okay, so what does he need to be the GOAT? First, get through Gunn. Big event, White House, interim belt. Not the most prestigious title win, but the most prestigious event to be in. Then fight Tom, okay? That will be the real White House card, okay? Somewhere in maybe November, in, let's say maybe in Madison Square Garden, okay? You could do that at Madison Square Garden. You beat him, then what next? Maybe next summer, boom, you go fight Francis Ngannou when everything blows over and they finally, actually go and fight each other. He says, but somehow, okay, yeah, I am it says, Ilya would probably do it considering he let us know he's willing to move up welterweight to fight Islam. There you go, a possible New York card right there in the future, right? Imagine, in New York City, Islam Makhachev taking on Ilia Topuria having a chance to win 3 belts. So not only did we surpass the 2-belt era, now we're in the era of the 3-belt era, right? In the influence of not only Ilia Topuria, but also in the influence of Alex Pereira if he does come out successful with this endeavor.
Television, and is that an important milestone for the UFC?
Yeah, I think that, if you look at where we are now, we're out from underneath 2 paywalls, so obviously being on CBS is huge, and Paramount for what it would cost you for 1 pay-per-view, you can watch everything UFC for the year. I mean, we already feel the difference in the business, and Paramount definitely does. I think we have exceeded their expectations on how many people are coming over to watch the fights, and obviously the White House fight will blow it out of the water.
Well, you made the announcements tonight that everybody's been waiting on. I guess talk about how you decided on Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje of getting that honor of main eventing this, historic event?
Yeah, so basically what we did is the matchmakers went out and put together, started talking to everybody, seeing what fights were possible, and then came back to me and...
Where are he going to fight Francis, bro? In the UFC. But that's the thing. I was saying that it has to boil over, right? I think the UFC is really upset at Francis Ngannou right now. Maybe rightfully so. But, at some point, Francis Ngannou has to comply with the UFC. Or maybe there's going to be a high demand for Francis Ngannou at some point where he becomes undeniable. Either way, that is what they have to do. Ivan the Great says, I think Ilya smokes Islam at 155, but at 170, Islam is too big and too strong, unfortunately. I think he beats him everywhere. 155, 170, heck, even 185 at a special catch weight of some sort. He beats him everywhere. I Am It says, I don't think we are ever getting Francis back. Never say never, right? Because remember, this is the same company. TKO is the same company that owns the WWE. For those of you that are WWE fans, you know what happened with CM Punk, right? He got released from the WWE, and then years later, he comes back to the WWE bigger than ever. I can't see how Francis Ngannou would be any different. Because once again, remember, when I said that the theme of this live stream is that nobody is bigger than the program, when I said that nobody is bigger than the program, that also means the promoters as well, meaning that they will swallow their pride if there is enough demand for it. Ivan the Great says, yeah, Francis never is fighting in the UFC again, which is sad because the heavyweight division is in shambles. There you go. You make enough noise like that as a fan, you get a group of your friends to go troll Dana White on Twitter, on Instagram, and you get them to talk to Francis. Eventually they're going to have to cave in, and that's the reality of the situation, inshallah.
And I chose the card.
Nice. Interim title fight at heavyweight with Alex Bejeda and Cyril Gane. I guess reading into that, does that mean there's really no update on when Tom Aspinall will be back? And have you checked in with Eddie Hearn, I guess, an update?
Yeah, Tom, obviously won't be ready for the White House fights.
Imit says, take into consideration that Dana didn't let Jones fight at the White House card. Well, that's because Dana White knows that Jon Jones is a degenerate, right? Because he ruined him versus Tom. I don't think we are getting Francis back. Well, that's the main point that I'm trying to make, right? I understand what you're saying in hindsight and within the recency biasness of things, right? Because look, recency biasness is real. It's happening right now, so it seems like, never is a definitive thing. But in the future, especially when it comes to demands, especially when it comes to, fighters every day having their stocks rise and then having their stocks fall, it is a reality that, yes, somebody will be in demand at some point. Look at Ryan Garcia, right? A year ago, he mentioned something that is so horrible, right? He talked about black people. He talked about Muslims, saying all of these racist things. All of a sudden, Ryan Garcia is back on top once again. He's back on top of the world, and that's just the reality of the sport that we are in, or combat sports in general. So, but I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you also have to understand two things about combat sports, which is the main theme of this show right now, the main theme of this live stream. Nobody is bigger than the program, and also, never say never. I Am It says, especially considering, bro, Dana said Francis held him by the collar or something. There are people that nearly put Vince McMahon in federal prison. Hulk Hogan nearly put Vince McMahon in federal prison because Hulk Hogan snitched on him for saying that he was feeding the wrestlers steroids, and then the FBI was basically investigating him as a result of that. So as a result of that investigation, what did Vince McMahon do? Somewhere down the road, he just decided, I'm going to bring back Hulk Hogan because he is what's good for business. So always remember that. That is the TKO model. What is good for business is what's good for business, and we're going to go with that. He says Francis is a great fighter, but a horrible businessman. Look at what he did to the PFL and some of the stories Dana White told us. Right. I think there's a lot of well, I'll mention the PFL in a second and the Francis situation going on. Let's find where Dana White mentioned Jon Jones here, because that's actually the emphasis that I wanted to bring about with this live stream. So hopefully we'll catch it. I think we will in a couple of minutes from now, but I don't have the timestamp for this, so I just play it all together. He says, my Harry, whatever, says, Dana definitely embezzles through stories. Okay.
So that's why it's an interim title fight.
Nice. Can you share with us what the fight was that fell out?
It's not important.
Fair enough. Last thing I would ask you, again, today there were some weird reports of betting irregularities around Michael Johnson and Drew Dober. Obviously the fight happened, so it wasn't concerning, but was there legitimacy to this again? Did this happen again? Like,
no, zero. And a weird post that somebody posted that a kid was kidnapped and some crazy shit, all bullshit.
Dana, you talked about, you don't want to say what fight fell out, which is fair enough, but there is obviously...
Well, there's weird circumstances around it that we probably shouldn't talk about.
Okay. There is speculation, of course, that it's Jon Jones.
No, it's not. Was Jon ever, which I told you guys 100...
All right, here we go. We found it. We found the story. Okay, so Dana White embellishes the story, sorry. He says, yeah, I feel bad for the PFL. Dude, they wasted money on Francis. English literate, shout out to you. He says, gonna be honest, I don't think I like this Paramount deal. I mean, considering the fact that they are suppressing free speech, sure, right? Okay, back to the Francis thing, right? Francis Ngannou, okay? He grew up in a very tumultuous situation, right? The man doesn't understand business. The man doesn't understand how to, let's say, negotiate or create business relationships. All the man knows how to do is dominate, right? I mean, like, to be honest with you, Francis Ngannou is like a caveman Neanderthal. And I don't mean that in the harshest way. I just mean that as, you know, the literal aspect of what a Neanderthal or a caveman does, right? All they know is domination. They don't understand nuances. They don't understand diplomatic relations. They don't understand business relations. That's all that they understand, right? And unfortunately, it bled over into how he deals with the business in the UFC. And the problem is, like, he thinks that that's all that you need to be a fighter, is to just be a brute. And by the way, he does a very good job at that, but there comes a little bit more than that in the world of fighting. It goes a little bit beyond that, right? You need to do a little bit more than just be a brute. You gotta sound, you have to understand nuances. He doesn't understand that. Ivan the Great says, yeah, Francis said he wanted the whole African program just for him to never show up to the PFL Africa events, which tells you what? He's a selfish man. I'm sorry, he's a selfish man. Look, do you have any idea what type of people he could have been promoting, you know, in PFL Africa, right? You know, he says, yeah, he cares about African people or this and that. Well, okay, you know what? Get these fighters out of their poverty and go and promote them. Why aren't you doing that? The reason why you're not doing that is because you're selfish. You know that you've already made it. Yes, you had a great story, but by the end of the day, you know, it is what it is, and that's the reality of what we're talking about here. Iman says, hey, Kyrie and Ivan, bro, it was a good discussion. Wish you guys a good 2026. I'm going to go now. Shout out to you, I Am It, man. Thank you for tapping into the live stream, and also don't forget to like and subscribe, and also recommend me to your friends, because I am here to become one of the biggest MMA streamers ever, so that I can go and violate your favorite celebrity, violate your favorite MMA streamer, and violate anybody that comes my way, or anybody around us, and anybody in this program that we got going on here in Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA. And that is how I get down. Sacramento, California represent. You better know it. English literate says, sounding a lot like Guru right now, Kyrie. Laughing my ass off, just kidding. He says, you have a point there. Well, you know what? Obviously, you know that I disagree with a lot of the takes that MMA Guru has going on, right? But guess what, man? A clock is broken. A broken clock is right how many times a day? How many times a day is a broken clock? 2 times a day. So I need you to understand that, right? A clock is broken. A broken clock is correct 2 times a day, and that's the reality of it. All right, back to Dana White and the Jon Jones conversation.
1,000 times was Jon Jones even remotely in my mind to fight at the White House. I wouldn't. First of all, I've told you why I wouldn't do it. And number 2, some guy with, meta glasses on filmed him talking about his hips, that his hips are so bad. And I don't know if you guys saw that flag football game where he can barely run. Jon Jones he retired because of his hips. He's got arthritis in his hips. Apparently he's been, doctors say he should have hip replacement. So.
Okay, guys, I don't want to be dishonest, right? Maybe Dana White is right. But I also know that with bad hips, there is an aspect that you can still fight. It depends on who it is, okay? I'll give you an example. Derek Lewis fought Daniel Cormier at UFC 230 in New York. This was a month after UFC 229 with Conor McGregor and Khabib, right? They offered Daniel Cormier a title fight as the champion and Derek Lewis as the challenger. His back went out. Do you understand that? His back literally went out. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, a second. His back literally went out. Sorry, it's my kid. His back literally went out, okay? And he still fought Derek Lewis anyway. And the reason why he had decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go fight Derek Lewis anyway is because he knows that he has an opportunity to headline a New York card, but also a fight that is winnable to him, okay? Not only is it winnable to him, he knew that Derek Lewis was no match for him. Well, Jon Jones, for sure, he would have taken Alex Pereira down, choked him out, and that would have been the end of it. He knew that there was a chance that he could take out, Alex Pereira, but he had decided, you know what, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna go along with it. I'm gonna go do this fight, and as a result of that, he says, maybe only once today, given the change. Okay, yes, there it is. Yes, that's right. That's right. This is, a daylight savings change day. Yes, you're right about that. All right, back to Dana White and what he had to say about, Jon Jones here.
Okay. For that on top of all the other reasons that I wouldn't, the Jon Jones thing is bullshit. Yeah. I'm not saying they weren't talking to Jon Jones and that Jon Jones wasn't interested in the fight. And what was even crazier is Jon Jones came out and was like, I'm in negotiations right now for the...
Okay, so here's the thing, right? I think the UFC knew that if they can nullify the fact that they were in negotiations with Jon Jones, they can save themselves the embarrassment of whatever it is that, Jon Jones is, is saying. Or whatever it is that was being said here. Okay, so kind of brings me a little bit of an off topic, but sort of in the same topic. Dana White, now having to negotiate with Tom Aspinall and Eddie Hearn. You know what that's going to do? That's going to expose a lot of the little intricacies that the UFC does when it comes to their business. Okay, that is going to expose a whole lot of the intricacies that most managers would not dare say because they are afraid of Dana White and the potential leverage that that the UFC has over these managers, not Eddie Hearn. He's going to know everything. He's going to know what is going on, and he's going to go to the media and let the media know, hey, this is what's going on. This is why they won't pay you X, Y, and Z. This is why they are willing to do this. This is why they are not willing to do that. This is Eddie Hearn in a nutshell, and this is what Eddie Hearn can do to really damage, the reputation of the UFC. And here's the thing, right? I wonder, is this even a good idea for Tom Aspinall as a result of that? And, I'm starting to wonder, maybe not. Maybe not. It doesn't seem like, the best idea for Tom Aspinall due to his leverage because he's already in a hot seat with the UFC, considering the fact that they think, he sort of chickened out after getting his eyes poked out and the fact that, they can't put the heavyweight championship on the line. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there that I think, people really need to know about and people really need to understand with this situation because it is not as, it's not as easy or, it's a lot more complicated than, than people think. Okay, so, yeah, that's something people really need to understand, right? There's a lot of complications that deal with the business dealings in the UFC and, you better believe that. That Eddie Hearn is going to expose that in every way possible. So these are some of the things that a lot of these MMA content creators are not telling you, right? But let's see.
The White House fight after an Iron already sent a text to his lawyer saying, never going to happen ever.
Is it fair to say then Jon Jones is retired and this is the end of his time?
Yes. Very fair.
For the White House card, have you decided yet? Is it still in the works? How much is Paramount Plus? If there's CBS portions, what are we looking at for the broadcast itself?
Well, we got a lot of the logistics done. We went out there and presented it to the president and his team, and now we'll get into all of that stuff. There's still so much work to do for this fight. Literally, Craig Borsari, our head of production, this is all he works on now. Nothing else till it's over.
Yeah. You said to Joe Rogan earlier that actually this card was not as easy as you thought to build. You obviously aren't going to tell us the fight that fell out, but is this one of those things that we'll never find out, that behind the scenes there was a lot of crazy shit going on with making this card, and we'll one day find out that it was actually insane?
There's crazy shit with making every card in this business. This is a very hard business to be in and run. I mean, on a day-to-day basis. It's like a soap opera here every day. But yeah, this was a fun one.
All right, so listen, with that in mind, that's probably all that I have for the Jon Jones situation. We'll go on for a couple more minutes. We'll take a look at what Charles Oliveira had to say, and then we'll go from there. But this is what I got to say about the White House card, and in particular, Jon Jones, right? There it is. It's definitive now. Dana White has mentioned it. Jon Jones is retired. Conor McGregor is retired. You know what these guys are doing? And I'm going to give you a speculation. This is just a theory. I'm not saying that I am correct, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And this is what I got to say about that, right? I think these guys are holding on to their old glory. You know what Jon Jones and Conor McGregor remind me of? You ever had a high school buddy that was really hot in high school in terms of his physical prowess, in terms of his athletic accomplishments? This is who Jon Jones and Conor McGregor have become. They have become the former high school jock that wears their Letterman jackets around even years after. Obviously, Jon Jones is far more accomplished after his high school career, whether it was in wrestling or football, right? A far more accomplished athlete than these high school athletes that had their old glory days that they can't leave behind, right? But metaphorically speaking, that is who they are, and as a result of that, they are going to continue their clout and maintain that any way possible that they know how. Okay, so let's hear what the Mac Life had to say about. Let's hear what they had to say about the White House card, right? Because they had some pretty interesting takes after I saw the Dana White one. Now we're not going to do the Charles Oliveira one because it's just a whole bunch of generic fighter conversation. But let's hear what these guys had to say in this particular regard right here. So here we go.
In turn, is a fight that is deserving of this belt.
Yes, I mean the belt for sure.
To my veins, IV drip throughout the week.
Maybe the only reporter more autistic than both of you.
That is for big words.
We are here for another BMF title fight. Again, I think the narrative around this belt has certainly been told a lot this week. I know we're all sort of grabbing at straws in the press of finding what other things we can fucking ask him. But we're here, and now I think we've spoken about it before. Max Holloway has actually turned this belt, which started off as a bit of a novelty, into something worth pursuing. Do you feel that way, and do you feel this, in turn, is a fight that is deserving of this belt?
Yes, I mean, the belt for sure. I mean, the records, these guys have been saying it all week, most combined.
Okay, regardless of Max Holloway's performance in this fight, I will say that he did make this belt a whole lot more prestigious than, than, let's say, previous fighters before, because Max was actually a former champion, and as a result of that, he had decided that, hey, you know what, I'm going to run with this belt and make it prestigious. And Charles Oliveira, I will say, sort of gave the BMF belt a different look. Now, what different look is that? I think the different look that he had is the fact that, you know what, you can win BMF fights while grappling, because by the end of the day, it is still mixed martial arts. Sean Boy, shout out to you. He says, how are you? What are your opinions on America and Iran? I tell you what, my honest opinion on it, Sean, is that this is going to be extremely disastrous for America's economy, and right now Iran has nothing to lose. So I want you to think of it like this in street terms, right? Imagine a dude, right, on some gangster shit, right? Imagine a dude that got nothing to lose, and then you got another guy who has a lot to lose, you know, was a former street dude, now made it out of the hood, and then the hood is trying to bring him back into the BS, right? That is what's going on. Iran is that, you know, Iran is that YN that has nothing to lose in the hood. And America is that successful rapper that got out of the hood that wants nothing to do with this BS anymore, but more so also, you know, the Arab world, you know, the UAE and things of that nature, they are also sort of in that same category. But nonetheless, this is one of those situations where it's going to be very bad for the United States, and it's going to be very bad for the Arab world. And I think they are going to force their hand in some kind of way where they're going to say, hey, you know what, man, we really need to get out of these situations. We really need to pull out. And if we don't pull out, man, we are going to put ourselves in harm's way, or by the very least lose our wealth due to some wars that don't need to happen. So, all right, back to this one right here with this really...
Combined wins, I think most combined finishes in the fight in the UFC, so it's great. Max Holloway at UFC 300 like changed the game, right? If we didn't get that moment, I don't know if we're sitting here having that question asked.
And that performance with Max Holloway, I think single-handedly changed the opinions of people of the BMF belt if they had some reservations or some negative connotations behind it before.
By you, but what he did there and then the Poirier fight, like it's fitting and he's doing a good job. I don't know if he loses it though, where we go after this.
Yeah, for me, I'm a bit more curious. If he loses, I guess Charles would be the BMF champion. But I think for me, the real question about this BMF belt, and this is down the line, is when inevitably the BMF champion fights for the title and maybe wins both. It's like, what do you do at that point? You kind of combine the...
And the problem with that is Charles Oliveira had already been sparked out by both Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, right? So where does he go from here, right? It's very hard to match up Charles Oliveira at this point.
Titles.
Yeah, and yeah, I wouldn't know. But even Max said at Media Day, like, if the UFC came up to him and be like, you can fight for the title, but you have to give up the belt, he's like, 100%. Like,
I love those guys. I sense this is not a problem we're going to have.
Absolutely not.
I don't pick either of them to beat Ilia Topuria at this point. So.
Oh, damn. Well, I feel like in terms of picking this fight, I know I was a bit guilty of this. I don't mind saying it because Charles doesn't speak English, so I can say what I want about him. But I think when it was first announced, I kind of thought Max was going to school him. I really thought it was going to be one-way traffic. And then the closer...
I thought that too. I honestly thought that Max was going to school him, only because I thought the fight was going to be contested on the feet, and Max has the ability to keep the fight on the feet. Obviously, the aggression and the physical and also the grappling prowess of Charles Oliveira changed that notion completely. I mean, yeah, it absolutely changed that notion completely, and as a result of that, I mean, that is the reason why Charles looked like the way that he did in this fight right here, so...
we get so often is the way you see sort of looking at Charles' last performance. He's a lot more wrestle heavy performance. He's a lot smarter, obviously, other than that time he ran shit forward against Ilya. But like he shows he has strategy to win, and his grappling is obviously so amazing. You sort of think like, well, when was the last time someone really tried to grapple Max like that, or tried to choke him out all the time and stuff like that? So I now think Charles is actually a lot more dangerous than perhaps we realise. There is a question of if Max is slowing down. You know, he got dropped in that Poirier fight. Where are you in terms of Charles's chances in this?
I always thought this was like I leans towards Max, but it was more like a 55-45 thing, because Max just looked so good against Dustin Poirier, and obviously he got changed by Ilia Topuria too, but who hasn't at this point in the top of that division?
All of my heroes.
All of your heroes are getting knocked out by a little Spaniard. So I think that Gamrot fight kind of opened my eyes too, because like you said, it was a smarter fight than him. Like he didn't stand there and try to trade with Gamrot, he just tackled him and choked him out, and we haven't seen Max have to do a lot of defensive grappling, especially in his last few fights. He's been predominantly like Gaethje, definitely doesn't grapple. Poirier, definitely not a grappler. So I'm very curious how this plays.
I wonder how much like the pressure of just this BMF thing impacts, though, right? Like Charles goes out there and he just starts wrestling. Like I don't think the crowd's gonna love that. I don't think too many people are gonna like
Charles is like he's like a violent grappler.
He is,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but it's funny actually. They've been pretty. I mean, obviously, if you look at the guys involved, they've actually pretty good.
All right, that's a good assessment. He says a violent grappler. I would have to agree with that. I think there is something to that, right? A violent grappler, yes. I think the violent grappling is literally what was what made Charles Oliveira do what he did that night. So, yeah, man. Definitely a violent grappler for sure.
None of them have been shit. You could actually argue the most one-sided was the Gaethje one, but then obviously the Holloway Gaethje, and then obviously the
Diaz and Masvidal was pretty one-sided too.
Dude, Nate was about to give out.
He was on the verge of the comeback. Yeah, I know he got screwed by the doctor.
Shout out, by the way, one of my favorite MMA interviews of all time is when Brett Okamoto interviewed him after in the locker room, and Brett's like, "How are you feeling?" He's like, "I'm disappointed," and Brett goes, "Why?" And Nate's just like, "Did you see what happened?" It's just like one of my favorite moments.
But I think to your point, the big thing is who can take damage better at this point in time. Like, you know, the elephant in the room with Max Holloway, yes, he has the most strikes landed.
Most absorbed.
Exactly, most absorbed. So, like, at some point, it's got to...
Statistician's dream, this,
yes,
right?
it's got to turn for the worse. And Charles, you know, I think the reason he fought Gamrot the way he did is, you know, it was a quick turnaround after the knockout. It's crazy. Here we are, his second fight since Ilya. Ilya has not fought yet.
That's crazy.
And, you know, we'll see how it holds up. I mean...
Yeah, and listen,
the damage is a question.
The card is what it is, so I don't really want to talk about it. So I'd like to talk about what else is going on in business at the moment. Obviously, the White House card looms over us as the Sphere and UFC 300 did before us. Saturday night, seems like we're going to get it. My prediction, I don't know, is that they'll announce it live on CBS, and that portion probably at the end of that thing makes no sense. I think they've shot anyone who's seen the whiteboard with the card on it, so speculation's rife, but you know, you can probably narrow it down to like 4 or 5 at the top at this point.
Blue Chew Gold is
All right, let's continue on with this right here. Okay, a little commercial going on here. All right, here we go.
Do we expect that announcement to go as viral as we perhaps have been waiting? And at this point in time, what are your predictions for the elusive White House main event?
I mean, it feels like it's going to be something involving Alex Pereira and Jon Jones. Like, that feels like the direction everything is heading.
And that obviously is not the case. That obviously is not what happened. But I'm going to let you hear what they thought the prediction was going to be. And then I'm going to give you a bit of some reaction to the White House card. And not only that, give you a bit of some reaction to the Jon Jones situation.
What the reporting is being, the biggest question is just, what is that fight? Is it just a heavyweight fight? Is it an interim title fight? Is it an undisputed title fight? That's like the biggest question to me.
Are they making a new belt for it?
A White House belt?
Yep.
Chandler kicked that idea around.
Rumors, boys.
What's your guess? Anyone else have a guess that's different than that?
I mean, I think, like, in my opinion, I don't think Conor's on the White House card. I think they won the gate, so I imagine it won't be a Conor fight. I suspect Jon and Alex has the most momentum, and then I think there's probably 3 other fights you could put: Ilya against Gaethje or Islam. I don't know. I just think the American thing. Like, I don't know.
Because it's the 250th birthday of America on Trump's birthday is what they're doing, and I don't think they want an American being stretchered out in the main event. I think the UFC and the matchmakers be like, well, if Jon fights Alex, we'll just tackle him and choke him out, and there's your American victory. There's a high probability Ilya chins Justin Gaethje, and I don't think they want Gaethje being stretchered out on the White House.
Yeah, I don't love the Jon Alex fight in that sense. Great, because it's just like, well, you're gonna have Jon come back, do what you said if he beats him definitively, and then what Alex Pereira loses all, you know, that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wonder though, if you get the Jon Alex fight and Jon wins, you could still probably just do an Alex Cyril interim fight.
That's the one we want to see. The two.
So obviously they're wrong about that fight, right? They said they don't want to see an American stretchered out. Well, guess what? They're putting Justin Gaethje in there with Ilya Topuria. There's a great chance he's going to get stretchered out of there, okay? A very good chance. But this is the point that I've been trying to make to you guys, right? Yes, America's 250th birthday, but understand this. Even though it's America's 250th birthday, you have to understand, America's gift to the world is the UFC production, okay? Not whether Americans are winning or not. And then here's another thing. I'm going to end it with this. Jon Jones, okay? The theme of the whole entire live stream that I told you guys, nobody is bigger than the program. You see, a lot of you guys, you think that you're special, right? A lot of you guys think that you're special at your jobs because you're doing great, but the reality is you could be replaced at any time. The minute that you're sick, the minute you do something that is politically incorrect in terms of pissing off the HR, pissing off the president of your company, you're gone up out of your job and they're going to replace you with another guy. That is a reality that you guys have to understand. Nobody is bigger than the program. And with that in mind, listen, that is all that I have with this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one, inshallah. And remember, nobody is bigger than the program.